What up, Hoopers? Coming up on NBA Now, we're going to talk some ball and take a look at 5 sleepers in the upcoming NBA draft. And if you want to clean up your balls, you can do so with Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com/chat for 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products. Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Here's what we have coming your way. We're taking a look at 5 NBA draft sleepers, and we tip off today's show by taking a look at Ayo Dosunmu of Illinois. While with the Fighting Illini, able to rack up a lot of prestigious accolades. First team All-American this past year, helped lead the Illini to a Big Ten championship in the Big Ten tournament, really put Illinois back in the conversation in terms of a national powerhouse moving forward under Coach Brad Underwood. One of the reasons why he's sliding in mock drafts, going to the back half of the first round, maybe even sliding to the second round, doesn't have crazy burst or bounce. And as we take a look further at his scouting profile that I put together, yes, he might not have burst or athleticism, which of course bodes well at the NBA level. He does have great size, though, at the point guard spot. He can also play the 2, so there's some positional versatility. He's 6'5", has a 6'10" wingspan, which helps him get his shot off, but also with that wingspan, he's able to get in the way of passing lanes. I know sometimes a lot of people like to knock the college experience. Dosunmu was with Illinois for 3 years. I actually like it because he played in a bunch of big games, and Illinois relied on him to be the clutch go-to scorer late in games, which I think translates to the NBA level. Ever since going back to his high school days at Morgan Park in Chicago, I covered him while he was there. People have raved about his character and leadership, won a state title, and you were able to see he's just a floor general who never gets flustered, and I think that feeling, that mood is contagious for his teammates. And the clutch gene, you either have it or you don't. Dosunmu certainly has it, and I think going forward at the NBA level, that's very valuable. The pro comp that I have for him is Jrue Holiday, because he can play the 1 or 2. I think he has a lot of defensive upside like Jrue Holiday has. You saw what he's been doing against Chris Paul and some of the other good guards throughout the NBA playoffs. And like Jrue Holiday, he's not going to jump out the gym, but he's a very smooth mover in terms of his athleticism. Put up some big numbers with the Illini in his 3rd season. More than 20 points per game. He's a good rebounder for a guard. He can also dish it, more than 5 assists per night. His field goal percentage, pretty efficient at nearly 49%. The three-point shot, definitely going to have to get better in terms of the catch and shoot, the dribble pull-ups. That's something he'll have to develop, certainly, over time. So, Hoopers, tell me, what do you think? How would you rate Ayo Dosunmu as an NBA prospect? Scale him for me in the comment section down below from 1 to 10. Let's move ahead with Chris Duarte out of Oregon, a modern-day wing who I think is going to be in the league for a really long time. He might go late in the first round because some teams have pause about his age. Yes, when you look at some of these prospects, you look at the 18-year-olds and the 19-year-olds, some of these younger guys, and you try to bet on upside. Duarte actually just turned 24 years old, which has given some organizations pause. I think that's overrated because let's say this guy plays and is a consistent contributor for the next 6 or 7 years, and you get him late first round, that's really good value. And I talk about his value has that as a modern-day 3-and-D knockdown wing who's also a really good defender. That's why I think he's going to be in the league for a decade plus. Also put up huge numbers at Oregon last year. So the numbers certainly back up everything that I'm saying, and the sample size is there. It's true, and he certainly passes the eye test as well. 17 points per game, 4.5 rebounds. He knocked down threes at nearly a 43% clip, and his free throw percentage pretty good at 81% even. He's 6'6", 190, and his defensive prowess, it's exceptional. He has defensive back skills. What I mean by that, he has anticipation and can really read passing lanes and create turnovers. And if he's not contributing to steals, he's contributing to deflections, which of course can certainly alter games. He's not the most explosive athlete. He's not going to break you down off the dribble and hit a pull-up or a step back or a sidestep, but he is a consistent spot-up and knockdown shooter, which is why I think any team that kind of gets him maybe in the 20s, maybe at 30 to the Utah Jazz, they're going to be able to get a rookie who at 24 years old has a lot of experience, but he's going to be able to play right away. My pro comp for him, because of the knockdown shooting ability as well as his defensive intangibles, it's Danny Green. So I think Duarte is going to go somewhere in the 20s, maybe to the Jazz at the 30. I'd be surprised if he slides to the second round, but this is what I want you to do right now. Predict his destination in the first round or the second round for Chris Duarte. Get those teams in the comment section down below. I'm looking at the Lakers at 22. Maybe he slides to the Sixers at pick number 28. I think the Nets could be in play for a guy like this. That's the range that I'm looking at for Chris Duarte out of Oregon. Certainly a sleeper in this draft class. Shout out to our sponsor real quick, Manscaped. I use it frequently. Now, I'm not the hairiest dude, but I use Manscaped a couple times a week, and I'm all about, in my life, versatility, variety, just like some of these NBA draft prospects. The great thing about the Lawnmower 4.0 and all of the products from Manscaped, you can use them in a variety of ways. You can trim up your beard. You can trim up your sideburns. If you need to kind of mess with your hair a little bit, you can change the blades and use it on your hair as well. I was with my girlfriend at a wedding a couple weeks ago. She was like, "Chase, your back is so hairy. Spending a lot of time at the pool during summer, so I can use the Lawnmower 4.0, shave the back up a little bit." But here's really where Manscaped comes through. You can use it on your balls, because if you're hairy, you're scary for your lady. 20% off plus free shipping by using that link at the bottom of your screen. That link also in the description as well as the comment section of this video. Continuing to break down more NBA draft sleepers, really high on Trey Murphy, and really he's picked up momentum over the last 2 or 3 weeks ever since the NBA Draft Combine, and now that he's popped in on a couple of organizations during pre-draft workouts, he is soaring up draft boards. Started his career at the basketball powerhouse of Rice. You ever heard of them? Yeah, they make deep runs in the NCAA tournament every single year. I think, in all honesty, that's a reason why some people are kind of sleeping on him and why he started to fly under the radar a little bit. And I compare him a little bit to Chris Duarte, who we talked about and highlighted, because he can defend, he can shoot, but I think he's a better athlete than a guy like Chris Duarte. His numbers, not as great as Duarte's was at Oregon last year. 11 points per game. Very efficient guy, though. 50% field goal percentage, like Duarte, knocking down three-pointers at a very elite rate with some volume there as well. Shot north of 43% from distance. The free throws, I love it. 93%, had to toe the free throw line during some big-time situations, and he was able to knock them down in the clutch. Scouting profile for Murphy, 6'9", 206 pounds, a very wiry frame. He can leap. He's a good jumper. He's a very good athlete. And the word is, his work ethic is fantastic. Impressed a lot of people during his pre-draft workout with the Los Angeles Lakers within the last couple of days. He has defensive potential. He is not the defensive prospect right now in this current moment that Duarte is, but maybe a higher ceiling on that end of the floor. He's a floor spacer. He's a high flyer. So he can knock down threes at a pretty consistent clip, but also he can run the floor pretty well as well. Pro comp for me, it's Robert Covington, because Covington coming into the league was overshadowed, kind of like Trey Murphy was. He went to a small school like Trey Murphy did. But you bet on upside, and you hope that he can develop over time. Best case scenario is that Trey Murphy develops at some point into a Robert Covington type player, a lockdown defender, and consistent knockdown shooter. So do you think Murphy is slept on? Or because he's received some buzz of late, you don't think he's slept on any longer? Type S for slept on, type P for properly rated. Get those votes in the comment section. How about Miles McBride out of West Virginia? Bob Huggins players, you know they're gritty. They're dogs. They like to defend, especially the full length of the floor. This is a cat who you do not want to play against in pickup basketball, because he'll get in your mug and he'll really frustrate you. An Eastern Conference executive recently compared him to another former West Virginia Mountaineer in Javon Carter. Brings great energy on the defensive end of the floor. And I think his projections figure to be this. Maybe a really good two-way player in the league who's not going to average like 20, 25 points per game, but is going to make smart plays, hustle plays, but also contribute on the defensive end of the floor. For West Virginia, they weren't as great as years past, but Miles McBride was very good, almost 16 points per game. The assist numbers, I'd like to see them a little bit better. Had some questions about his surrounding core at West Virginia. The field goal percentage is just okay, but I do like the three-point percentage at 41%. Here's what that Eastern Conference executive had to say about McBride. I love him. He's like a Javon Carter with offense. Good wingspan, has toughness. He's like Suggs. He was a quarterback in high school. He's tough, gets in you, gets deflections. Shooting is good. He's got a good mid-range. We've seen the return of that in the NBA playoffs thanks to Chris Paul. You watch him play, and he plays on both ends of the ball. Some people say he isn't a point guard. He ain't a point guard, that's for sure. He's got unselfish properties in him. Do you think McBride will go in the first round? Type first for yes, type second for no. I think he's teetering between the 28 to 35 range, so that's where I think McBride is going to go. If you made it this far, hopefully you really like what you're seeing here on Chat Sports. And if you're new to us, we're a very interactive YouTube channel where we cover the NBA and the NFL. Let's focus on NBA specifically because, of course, that's what we're doing on today's show. We're almost at 250,000 subscribers. Our company has taken off like crazy over the last few months and years. And if you're a hooper, hey, we got great content cooking up for you. We're going to be live for the NBA draft, one of the most watched NBA draft coverages on YouTube. Any free agency, rumors, news that does come out on the NBA, we have you covered, and we hit you with the latest NBA news and rumors. So help us get to 250K subs by hitting that red subscribe button down below, or go to youtube.com/chatsportstv. Our last sleeper, Deyron Sharp out of North Carolina. UNC wasn't the powerhouse that it usually is in Roy Williams' last year. I think that's why Deyron Sharp isn't getting a lot of attention or didn't receive the attention that he deserves. Also, there's this. Decided to forego and skip the NBA draft combine testing. So there are some unknowns about his athletic testing numbers, and he didn't partake in 5-on-5, so you didn't really get a good feel as to who he is, how his game translates, and how he holds up against some other competition among prospects at the NBA level. Here's the thing with Deyron Sharp. It all comes down to fit. If a team at the end of the first round needs a athletic big who doesn't really have a shot right now, but can give you a lot of energetic minutes off the bench, he could go at the end of the first round, or he could slide into the second round. It really all depends with fit at the end of the first round or the early second. But there's certainly some potential. And last year, he kind of was a do-it-all stat-stuffing player. 9.5 points per game, very active on the glass. That's one of my favorite skills about him, is that he's got this really good awareness about him, which helps him on the glass, but also he's a good passer for a big. Gives you almost a block per night. He blocked almost 30 shots throughout this past year at North Carolina, and a very efficient shooter as well. You can use him on pick and rolls. You can use him on alley-oops. He's very active around the basket. 6'11", 265 pounds, and given that size, I think Deyron Sharp really moves well as a prospect and as an athlete. I think he's a good passer, too. From the high post, down low around the low block, he just has this kind of cat-like sense where he can sense defenders on him and see cutters and feed them the basketball, which lends itself to free, open, easy baskets. He's got great shot blocking instincts as well. He's so active around the rim, and because of that 6'11", 265-pound frame, which features a lot of bounce, great shot blocking instincts, very elite shot blocker. I think that certainly translates to the NBA level. Here's my question, though. On offense, because he doesn't really have much of an elbow jumper game, hasn't extended his offensive game to the three-point arc either. Is he going to be limited offensively, which can really help you if you expect him to get big minutes in a playoff game? Is he only going to be stuck in the paint? That's the only concern that I have with Deyron Sharp, but I certainly think his athleticism certainly moves well and translates onto the NBA level. My pro comp for him, it's a fellow North Carolina guy, Tony Bradley. Some people have thrown out Al Jefferson as well. I just think Al Jefferson had a more diverse offensive game because he could at least knock down some mid-range shots. Maybe Deyron Sharp develops that over time. So that does it for our 5 NBA draft sleepers going into the draft on the final Thursday of this month. Say it with your chest. Who is your favorite NBA draft sleeper? Get those names in down below.